Welcome back to another explainer, folks. In our previous sessions, we explored memory, how computers actually store information. But if memory allows a computer to remember, what exactly tells it when to act? Well, today, we're answering that exact question by looking at the invisible conductor of the computing world. We are talking about the digital clock. It's literally the heartbeat keeping our incredibly chaotic digital world perfectly synchronized. Without it, your smartphone wouldn't function, GPUs couldn't process graphics, and embedded systems would, well, they'd just crash.
All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the timing problem. Second, the anatomy of a clock. Third, understanding clock speed. Fourth, timers and PWM. Fifth, physical clocks and challenges. And finally, number 6, the big picture.
Starting things off with Section 1, the timing problem, and exactly why timing matters so much.
To really understand the problem here, I want you to imagine an orchestra without a conductor. You've got all these incredibly talented musicians, right? But they're all playing at completely different speeds. What do you get? Total, utter confusion. Or think about a busy airport where every single pilot just decides their own personal schedule for takeoff and landing. Again, absolute chaos. Well, digital systems face this exact same challenge. Inside your computer, thousands or even billions of operations have to occur sequentially and in the exact right order. If they just happen randomly, the system fails. So a common timing reference is absolutely required.
So what's the solution to all this potential chaos? It's the digital clock. Now, a digital clock is basically just a repeating electrical signal. It continuously switches back and forth between a low state, which is a 0, and a high state, which is a 1. This creates a highly predictable repeating square wave pattern. And this pattern serves as the fundamental timing reference to coordinate all the circuits. It acts just like a human heart, pumping blood rhythmically. Each and every pulse coordinates activity throughout the entire system.
Moving right along to Section 2, anatomy of a clock, and what actually happens during one of these cycles.
Let's consider a modern processor. It operates on a really strict sequence. Step 1, it fetches an instruction. Step 2, it decodes it. Step 3, it executes the calculation. And Step 4, it stores the result. Now, these steps absolutely must happen in sequence, and each transition of our clock signal creates a tiny clock pulse. That pulse, it acts as a definitive go signal. It ensures that the processor moves from fetching to decoding precisely when it's supposed to, without skipping a beat or failing. If we zoom in and look really closely at these clock pulses, they have two incredibly important transitions. We've got the rising edge. That's when the signal jumps from low up to high. And then we have the falling edge, which is when the signal drops back down from high to low. So why does this matter? Because a lot of digital circuits, like the flip-flops we use for memory, respond specifically to just one of these edges. A register, for example, might only update its memory when it sees a rising edge. These continuous transitions provide highly predictable moments for circuits to update, which ensures completely reliable memory behavior. All right, on to Section 3, understanding clock speed and how we measure frequency. We measure this frequency in a unit called hertz. Now, while 1 hertz is just one single cycle per second, digital systems scale this up insanely fast. We move rapidly from thousands of cycles in a kilohertz to millions in a megahertz, all the way up to literally billions of cycles every single second in a gigahertz. And as that frequency increases, the system gets way more opportunities to perform work. To put that crazy scale into perspective, just look at this number, 3 billion. A standard modern smartphone processor often operates right around 3 gigahertz. That means the clock inside the phone sitting in your pocket right now is pulsing 3 billion times every single second. During those billions of cycles, your phone is fetching data, running your apps, processing high-resolution photos, and handling complex AI workloads, all seamlessly coordinated by this relentless microscopic heartbeat. Let's pivot a bit to Section 4. Timers and pulse width modulation, or PWM.
So, this is exactly where timers come into play. A timer is simply a circuit that's built to measure time intervals. How? By counting those known clock pulses. Because the clock frequency is so perfectly predictable, counting pulses gives us perfect timing. Let's say you have a clock running at 1,000 hertz, so 1,000 pulses a second. The timer just sits there and counts exactly 1,000 pulses. Once it hits that number, the device knows exactly 1 second has passed. This simple counting trick is what allows your microwave to stop cooking after exactly 30 seconds, or a traffic light to change at the perfect interval.
Now, what's really interesting here is an application of timers called pulse width modulation, or PWM. PWM uses timers to rapidly switch signals on and off. If a timer sends power to an LED 100% of the time, obviously the light appears fully bright. But if the timer switches the power on and off so incredibly fast that the LED is only getting power 50% of the time, well, to the human eye, it just smoothly appears dimmer. This exact same timing trick is used to smoothly adjust the speed of electric motors in everything from giant industrial robots to the little drones flying around your local park.
Which brings us to Section 5, physical clocks, and the massive engineering challenges behind them.
So how do we actually physically make these signals? Well, there are a few ways. You can use RC oscillators, which are cheap and simple, or modern MEMS oscillators, which are super compact alternatives. But the absolute most common and highly accurate source is the crystal oscillator, specifically quartz crystals. See, quartz naturally vibrates at amazingly precise frequencies when you expose it to an electrical charge. Because they are so incredibly stable, quartz crystals are the go-to timing source for our watches, smartphones, computers, and critical communication systems.
But, generating that clock signal, that's really only half the battle. You also have to distribute it everywhere. And this leads to a massive headache for engineers called clock skew. Clock skew happens when different parts of a microchip receive that exact same clock signal at slightly different times. I mean, think about a modern CPU. It contains billions of microscopic transistors spread all across a silicon die. Pushing a 3 GHz clock signal so it reaches every single corner of that chip at the exact same picosecond is an incredibly complex engineering challenge. Even the tiniest timing error can cause the whole system to crash.
Before we wrap up today, let's rapidly bust some common beginner myths about all this stuff. Mistake number 1, assuming clock speed alone determines performance. It definitely doesn't. A 3 GHz processor isn't automatically faster than a 2 GHz one if its underlying architecture or cache design is worse. Mistake 2, thinking timers and clocks are the exact same thing. Remember, the clock generates the pulse, the timer just counts them. Mistake 3, ignoring the critical nature of synchronization. As we've seen, without it, you get that conductorless orchestra. And mistake 4, believing embedded systems, like say your washing machine, don't need clocks. Virtually all digital devices require timing reference to function.
Finally, Section 6, the big picture, zooming all the way out.
So the really crucial point here is that digital systems ultimately need 3 fundamental capabilities to exist at all. First, processing. That's handled by logic gates crunching the calculations. Second, memory, handled by flip-flops storing that data. And third, timing, provided by digital clocks keeping everything perfectly in sequence. Every single smartphone in the world, every massive AI GPU cluster, and every cloud server relies entirely on these 3 fundamental pillars working seamlessly together.
Without clocks, modern computing as we know it would quite literally be impossible. No way around it. And as technology pushes into crazy emerging fields like ultra-high-speed AI accelerators and quantum computing, precise timing becomes even more fundamental. It really makes you wonder, what happens when we push the absolute limits of time itself at a microscopic scale? That is definitely something to keep in mind. In our next explainer, we're going to take all of these concepts, processing, memory, and timing, and see how they combine to form finite state machines, which actually allow digital systems to make automated decisions. Until then, stay focused and keep learning.